Hey, welcome to What's the FIC, where two nerdy librarians, Gina and Meg, discuss everything from literature to movies, gaming, education, anime, manga, and more. All your favorite things that you get geeked about, we talk about. Plus, we give you tips on all the latest free resources from the library. So let's get into the FIC of it. Hello, welcome back to another episode of What's the FIC, and we're your hosts, Meg and
Gina.
Today's episode is about an adorable and educational anime, Cells at Work. For this episode, we want to bring back one of our library friends, Andre.
Hi, I'm so excited to talk to you guys again. It's been so much fun.
Yes, we missed you.
Yes.
All right. So, as you guys know, we like to dive straight into this episode. So, what exactly is Cells at Work? That's the series that we're discussing because we know that we love anime and manga here and we love to discuss both of them. So, just a little bit about Cells at Work, aka Hataraku Saibo, is a manga and anime series created by Akane Shimizu. And the synopsis goes a little bit like this: strep throat, hay fever, influenza. The world is a dangerous place for a red blood cell just trying to get her deliveries finished. Fortunately, she's not alone. She's got a whole human body's worth of cells ready to help out. The mysterious white blood cell, the buff and brash T killer cell, the nerdy neuron, and even the cute little platelets. Everyone's got to come together if they want to keep you healthy. So, as you've heard, this series is a show and also a manga in which they have anthropomorphic. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about that in our turn. Cleanup anthropomorphic representations of red, white, and several cells in your body, and what exactly goes on when your body is infected, goes through fever, goes through strep throat, all those things. And each little episode or each little manga episode is about that, and you're following red all throughout. But let's get into this discussion of Cells at Work.
Yeah, so the one thing I wanted to notice too is because Georgina's actually read the manga, and I've only watched the TV show. I think so is Megan. So I wanted to ask you ladies, like, do you think there's any big differences between the two of them? The manga versus the Netflix series?
I will say that in the manga, you get like a few other little tidbits that you don't get in the show. Now, just talking about similarities, just like in the TV show, in the manga, anytime you're introduced to a character, you kind of get a little short synopsis of like, what does that cell do? Right? So when you're introduced to red blood cell, I'm pretty sure you guys, you remember if you've watched it before, and for those of you who haven't, every time someone's introduced, they kind of give a breakdown of this is this cell's job, this red blood cell, and
It's like a freeze frame, yeah.
Yeah, it's super cute. Like for each one. So of course, the first two you really get introduced to is the red blood cell and how it's her first real day on the job. She's got to make this delivery. And it kind of gives you that breakdown. And then when trouble comes, which is like when the bacteria and all that stuff come, then you see white blood cell, and white blood cell's introduction is done as well. There's just really cute, cool way of like, it kind of is very informational too, like just inform you like, what does this cell do, So that's the same for sure. Differences. I do like how in the manga you're able to get little snippets of like, so one of the things that you see if you watch the show is the red blood cell. If you don't know what the red blood cell is supposed to do, it's supposed to take nutrients and all throughout the body, right? Like that's their job. So you see a lot of them when you watch this show and read the manga. They're just running around, little workers, and they have these red jackets on. So in the manga, when you're reading, there's like this cute little section that's just like, hey, when red blood cells are running around delivering nutrients, which are like shaped in the form of like little food baskets and stuff, real cute. And it's just like their jackets flip inside out. So it's a bright red color when they're running errands, but when they're more chill hanging out in the veins, it's actually flipped inside to a darker color for them to wear. Just little tidbits that you don't necessarily get from watching the show.
So it's kind of like a more it's so this manga and this TV adaptation is more of like a true to form kind of series where it's like they can't have every single little small detail, but they get the grasp of the entire series within the show. Would you say
definitely. I definitely would say that. I definitely feel like if you someone who read the manga as long ago as I read it and you watch the show you'll definitely be triggered like, oh my gosh, that's almost like it's almost frame for frame. And I know I keep bringing this show up just like a quick little sidebar, but there are very few that do that. And I think Food Wars is another good one. Like if you read the manga, of course they left some stuff out, but if you watch the show, it's almost frame for frame. And that's exactly how Cells at Work feels.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So, because I've been doing a lot of talking, what did you guys think was like super interesting about Cells at Work, like the elements of Cells at Work in the series?
I would say one of the most interesting elements of the series is how they use the character, like what the actual cells do as a basis for how they create the characters. So like when you see the white blood cell and he's kind of standoffish and, brutal when he like takes down viruses and stuff like that, it makes sense that he would have that kind of Batman-esque feel because that's kind of what white blood cells are in your bodies. They're like they're vicious. They attack viruses and germs and stuff like that because that's their job. So I like how they use they use the basis of what the cell does as a basis for the character description, or like what their personality is like what red blood cells act like, and what white blood cells, killer T cells, macrophage cells, like showing what using their jobs as a way to describe their personality.
Yeah, because I'm definitely a red getting lost. Red blood cell again, and just taking a little moment, red blood cell again is supposed to deliver the oxygen to different body tissues, supposed to deliver nutrients and stuff. But along the way, one of the hallmarks of each episode and each little thing in the manga is that Red gets lost a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Red is just like, I'm supposed to deliver this in some place and I don't know where it is. And I'm just like, story of my life. Like she knows her job, but she just might need a little help getting where she's supposed to be. So
she's new. Give her a break. Although her job is very important for the body to survive. So, you can't get too much of a break, right?
One of the other really great elements is how they actually adapt the body in the show, because it doesn't look like a body when you're watching it. Like, the way they showcase the story and showcase the brains and stuff like that. Like when you see it, it looks like a business. And so the business itself is like, you see the boxes with the nutrients in it. You see the lungs and what they like. They look like a storage facility, things like that.
Yes,
this is a really interesting element too.
Ooh, or the command center for the antibodies episode. It was just like she's supposed to know everything. It's just like it's so great. Like you said, it's definitely. I think it's a portrayal that it would be natural and easy to associate, because I definitely feel like this is very much geared towards a pretty young crowd. Definitely seeing like maybe we'll start at like age 8, even though I feel like younger can watch it. Definitely starting age 8 and up for the show. But like I think it's a natural association, like, oh, that definitely makes sense. I definitely can kind of see that happening.
I think that, this show is actually helped me a lot. Actually, when I was watching this show when I was in school at abnormal psychology class, and we're doing the biology unit. Like there's an element of it that we do each section. This particular one was about the body, and so I had recently watched Cells at Work and watched the whole series. And like one of the questions on the test was like, what does the white blood cell do, and what does the macrophage do, and like stuff like that. And I was kind of like, oh my god, I know what they do. Like, I know exactly what they do because I really enjoyed the characters. And so what I found the most like exciting about it is the fact that like the show teaches you in a way that doesn't feel like teaching. So you remember the story much like you remember the plot of a TV show that you like. And so because it is a TV show. And so when it's broken down like that, and you like, how you think about like, oh, remember what happened last week in that episode of blah, 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 whatever.
Yes.
When I was sitting in class going over the assignment, I was kind of like, well, in the episode Influenza, blah, 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 this is what happened. And so I was able to break it down and what happened, and I aced the test because of that. Now, of course, that's not every situation, but like it really did help a lot of the questions that I did have like, a little hard times on. Those really, that show really helped out of that. So I really think it's a great educational tool or a supplementary tool.
Oh yeah. I definitely say it's supplementary. I don't know if you guys know, but like if you go on YouTube and stuff, like doctors and stuff have gotten in on the fun of like breaking down, looking at different episodes and stuff like that. So it does have a few inaccuracies, I will say that. But I think the overall part of it is that it still can be a very educational tool. I would definitely see this as something for teachers, maybe after you go over that, because I had human anatomy in high school. Like maybe after you go over that part, watching an episode that is related to that, and that way, even picking out some of the inaccuracies can be fun too. So like I think that would be really great and really good for that.
It gives very much so Magic School Bus vibes. Like it's not, of course, it's not going to be absolutely accurate to the point because reality is you have to make entertainment. But I do think that, like Meg just, like Georgina just said, like it really is. I think it'll be a really great supplementary tool, like in education, where it's like, of course, you need the actual information, but an episode related to it would also help out a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think that one of the other things I wanted to ask is like, of course there's no lack of gratuitous violence in the show. So I was wondering, do you think that the violence that we see in the show is necessary in how the human body reacts to stimuli?
I think, I don't think it's on a level that's too much. It just depends. So parents, if you do get your children watching this, just be aware of what's in the show. Preview it first if you want to let your 8-year-old watch it, so that you can know for yourself, of course, if you think this is appropriate for your own child or whoever you're taking care of at the time that is underage.
I think also that the amount of violence that is used in it, like I said, I do think it kind of justifies, but also that, like, honestly, some of the stuff that breaks into the body, like, let's be honest, like, it is that serious for your body, for your cells. Like, I know you've been sick before. I know you've had the flu before and know what that felt like. And even then, if you get cuts and scrapes and different things like that, because they do have an episode of you actually getting like an abrasion and stuff like that in it, like that's what's going on in there. Like, again, so a quick little term cleanup, just because I'm going to use anthropomorphic again. Anthropomorphic is when you give human characteristics to a thing or an object that isn't human, essentially. So again, we're humanizing the cells, so it makes more sense for us, right? So that when someone views it, they kind of have a better understanding. So yeah, white blood cell is violent, but you know what? White blood cell is a patroller, okay? White blood cell is on the front lines every time, making sure that you're okay. And it's got to take down some of these bacteria and stuff coming into your body. So you know what? I say have at it, white blood cell, have at it.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think that it really is. It's one of those things where, of course, maybe a parental advisory, say maybe like if you were like, hey, just so you know, it's going to be a little bit of violence, a little bit of gore. But like as far as like the accuracy, like it's very accurate in the sense of how the body might. Yeah, it's not like they don't have knives and they're not going off like that. But I mean, as far as like how they attack certain viruses and stuff like that, it's like that is an accurate element to it. So I think the violence is actually necessary in showcasing just how your body has to be vicious when it comes to like things that could hurt you. It's a way to protect you.
Right. I want to take a quick mention of like, okay, so there's the episode where the white blood cell, it's allergies, by the way, which I think everybody can relate to around this time of year. People are having allergies. There's literally a part where the person has a cedar allergy and the cedar things comes on and he just takes a piece and he just bites into it so he can figure out what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh wow.
And I'm just like, oh no. like oh no, I would never. But just like you said, just little things like that, that could be like either gross or like a little violent, again, parental advisory. But just I think it's just so cute because it makes sense, because it's like, how else are you gonna kind of like know what it is and encounter it? You can't really do that with cells, but with that anthropomorphic look of just him. I mean, he took a big bite too.
He did.
A huge bite.
Healthy bite, yeah.
Healthy. But yeah, just stuff like that. I think I agree. I agree with what was said. All right. So as much as we're talking about this, I'm pretty sure if you were to go look this up, by the way, just a quick plug that Cells at Work, the manga, is available in Pines for you to put on hold and get in your hands. And you're gonna look up Cells at Work, and then over to the side you might see Cells at Work Code Black. That's what you're gonna see on the side as well. And that is it's a spin-off of this series. So Cells at Work itself is hosted in a relatively healthy body. You have, red blood cell in them, and I'm gonna tell you, just from the art style, it's very bright. I think Andre would agree. It's like it's very bright and happy. I mean, other than like the little parts where like you see like when like what was it, like one of the cancer cells like multiplying or something. Like it's dark in those moments, but the overall scene of the body is very bright. And it's really talking about like common illnesses again. Like I said, they talk about allergies and how like the antibodies can overreact, which is how allergies happen. They show, I do think they do show the flu. They show a couple of things. They did.
And like you said, cuts, abrasions, stuff like that.
Stuff like that. And like I said, 8 years old and up, I think is a healthy recommendation. Now, Code Black, if you look it up and you're like, I'm going to order this in Pines, make sure you know that Cells at Work Code Black is mature. Because essentially our question that was posed to us, of course, is what audience do we think Cells at Work different incarnations are good for, right? And I think we can all agree little kids can watch this safely, maybe with parents. Real cute. Code Black, Andre, I know you've watched a few episodes. I've watched maybe one episode, and we would say that's a no.
It's a no.
It's a no, a hard no. Ooh.
A hard no.
And I think it's one of those things where it's like they know their audiences and they know that it's more of like a elevation versus a difference. I think I would say an elevation versus a spinoff, because where Cells at Work is more geared towards, I would say, middle school or late elementary school, like 5th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th, like that kind of age range, or like younger. I would say that Code Black is definitely high school and up, because it deals with issues on a much more mature scale, like STIs, smoking and drinking, things like that. And so that's, of course, should not be being done by anybody under that age bracket. But I think that in high school, I think that would be a really, once again, another supplementary tool to kind of, yes, we have the idea of what, these things do and we can talk about it, but, seeing the actual show of how smoking affects the body and how drinking affects the bodies, how, certain diseases affect the body. I think that's definitely a nice supplementary tool, and it kind of helps, it's like the show grows with the audience, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I agree. I think that, like you mentioned, a lot of this material you start seeing in like high school health.
Yeah.
That was the first time I know, as a sophomore and junior was the first time in high school, by the way, sophomore and junior
Yeah.
high school was the
Right.
first time that I encountered, they had a whole STD slideshow, essentially.
Yeah.
Was the first time that was a part of like my health class,
Yeah.
oh, here, these are the things you look on. This is why, protection, all this other stuff is
Yeah.
important, and different things like that. And like you said, I definitely think it grows with your audience. I think that if you have a younger kid, maybe even a tween looking at Cells at Work, then progressively you might be able to show them and let them read Code Black.
Yeah.
Because Code Black is like talking about the art style and how it's shown as far as the show goes. It's a completely different atmosphere. You remember those cute little one of the things that Cells at Work, my favorite little characters are the platelets.
Yeah.
Yes, me
The
too.
platelets are the cutest little thing, and they're just these cute little
Adorable.
kids, just like 1, 2, 1, 2, and they're just adorable.
Yeah.
Platelets are not like that in Code Black. Listen, they gotta be a little bit more mature. It's a little bit more like, it literally looks like dysentopic.
It's very reminiscent of like the Harry Potter series and how it grows with its audience. It's how it grows with the audience. Like each of the books or each of the when you look at Cells at Work and you read that manga, and then you read Code Black when you're older, it's like it grows with you. Like they start off with more general issues, and then as the series goes on, it becomes more mature, more adult issues.
Like, again, mentioning that, like, again, it's so dark, and like Harry Potter was a good example, because if you think about the movies, the first couple of movies are so bright. They're like really bright. Harry's like, oh my gosh,
Wonder, there's a
I'm a
sense of
wizard.
wonder
the
and
wonder,
innocence to it.
right? And then by the time you get to the last couple movies, it's real like it's dark overlays and dreary.
Blue, yeah.
And the same thing happens in Cells at Work. Like the Cells at Work, the first episode, I was like, it's real dark.
I thought I was watching the wrong show. I was like, what is this? They get a little mean. They're a little mean here.
But it's an unhealthy body that
so it
essentially
makes sense that it'll be unhealthy cells.
Unhealthy body, healthy
Interesting
cells.
contrast.
It is. It's a great show. I think that if you're even just the slightest bit nerdy, or just like to know information, because I'm gonna be honest, some of the information that's given in Cells at Work went a little deeper than even like my regular biology class when you're first learning about these cells. Like it went a little deeper just to tell you these things. Just like, okay, I learned a lot today. So let's just say that we've had our fill, right, of Cells at Work, and let's just say we devour Code Black. What are we gonna watch next, Meg? Like what we got?
Okay, so kind of keeping in the same realm of anime that also gets into education is Dr. Stone.
Yeah.
So essentially, Dr. Stone is a manga that's been turned into an anime. And basically, it is about these high school students, namely, main character, I think his nickname is Dr. Stone. I don't think they actually call him that during the show, but basically Dr. Stone and his friends get turned into stone. This weird cataclysm happens, and all the people on Earth are turned into stone, and hundreds of years pass, like almost like thousands of years, really. And civilization has restarted, but basically they're at the very beginning. Like it's almost like they're at the Stone Age again, except for maybe even before then. So everything, all the technology is primitive. They don't have telephones and they don't have cell phones and all these great gadgets and medical hospitals to help people. So basically, Dr. Stone awakens thousands of years later in the future with his friends, and they have to figure out a way to get civilization back to where it was in the modern age, where we have, the cell phones, the tablets, the computers, social media, and all these different things. And so along the way, he teaches the people that are already a part of this kind of primitive civilization how they can start fires, how they can make gunpowder, all the things that were kind of essential to bringing civilization up to where it is now. So you get a little bit of chemistry in there, and they explain terms and how, you can use certain things like nitric acid to create, essentially gunpowder and all sorts of things. So yeah, that's another kind of educational anime that's good for high school age and up.
I think
Is it
it's great.
available at Pines?
Yes, Andre, it
Oh,
is.
okay.
It's available in Pines. So if you want to get into this manga, you can check it out at your local library. Put it on hold. And it's also available in anime format on Crunchyroll. I think we've
Yeah.
explained that in the past, right, Gina?
We love Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll also has Cells at Work, and it also
Mm-hmm.
has Cells at Work Code Black. Netflix has Cells at Work. And
Mm-hmm.
again, Cells at Work and Cells at Work Code Black are in print format manga
Yes.
in Pine. So have at it.
Yes, yes, there you go. So if you're looking for something to watch or read next, these are our recommendations for sure, for sure. Well, you guys, this has been a fun episode.
Yes.
Mhm.
A very science enthusiast manga anime episode. I love it.
Yes, yes. And Andre, thank you as always for coming back and being with us and just sharing your love of anime along with us because we are some anime enthusiasts over here.
Of course, it's always fun talking with you, ladies.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So you guys can always check out our episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. But we just want to thank you for listening. And of course, if you want to check out what's going on at your local libraries in Augusta, you can always go to our website, arcpls.org. So check us out on social media as well, and you'll know what activities are coming up in the next couple months and in the new year. So we thank you guys for listening again. And as we always say, bye.
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 Thank you for listening. Tune in for new episodes every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. If you like hanging with your friendly, nerdy librarians, follow our library on Facebook at ARCPLS or on Instagram and Twitter at AugustaGALib.